Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Hope that you enjoyed this session from Arturo on the evolution of gaming and how an industry that was really promising is now suffering from some of the traditional business models. And today we're going to have a roundtable debate that is slightly different to how we normally run them, because we have Vincent, the founder and CEO of Chainforce. Chainforce is a company developing tokenized business models for startups and venture capitals, and then you will explain a little bit more about it. And of course, Vincent is trying to help Web2 brands adopt some of these new economic models to develop their business plans and their business growth. And Arturo, as we've heard from his conversation, he has OWN, which is the festival of entertainment and gaming, and is looking to tokenize that model, looking to potentially decentralize the brand. So more than a roundtable and a debate, we're going to have like a live pitch of Vincent trying to convince Arturo about why adopting these new models is the way forward, and addressing all the concerns that you may have. And that is a way of us thinking how we can approach our traditional businesses in Web2 in creating collaborations, new initiatives, new spin-offs, adopting and experimenting with these new business models. So, Vincent, tell us a little bit about Chainforce, what you do, what you offer, and how you can help us here.
Yeah, thank you, Pere. Nice to meet you all. So I'm the founder of Chainforce. I come from a computer science background myself, studied here in Eindhoven. Got interested in crypto around 2016 when I actually discovered that Ethereum made their blockchain programmable, basically turning it into a decentralized cloud for value administration. So I understood that with new ways of administrating value, the whole design space around solutions would open up. That was for me the reason to found Chainforce, to really offer research and development of models that would more explain and help clients, which are typically founders, but also venture capital, to understand the whole blockchain technology and the whole decentralized finance movement that it brings, and how tokens, which are digital assets placed on blockchain infrastructure, which represent rights or value, how they can be used in innovative ways for both the business and the clients, and innovate their business models. So that's what Chainforce is doing. We're based here in Eindhoven as well, but we work with clients globally. And whether it's research and design or like actual economical modeling and validation, we help our clients in these initial steps before going to market.
Thank you. And I believe that from the initial client list that you have already, they have a combined valuation of over 300 million, if I'm not wrong. What type of companies, what type of clients you've been working so far?
Yeah, so there's very, I would say, on the right spectrum, really decentralized Web3 native clients that can be protocols, fully built on-chain with smart contracts. And then we also have clients that come from a background of Web2. They have traditional business models anchored in also traditional finance. And they can be, let's say, exchanges. They can be very community-based, let's say, platforms where they have users using the services. And they see the possibilities of using a token to really increase engagement, increase user retention, and new ways of distributing value with the entire ecosystem instead of just their own business.
Okay, just to give you an example, because we're talking about tokenization, we're talking about how to build value or distributed value with the community. You're touching a point on terms of using the token as a way of building loyalty, building a sense of benefits with the brand. Just to put a very tangible example, if you look at my shoes are Pepe flies. These are normal shoes, but they're actually an NFT. They come with tokens, and then we are all part of a community that's linked to further virtual benefits. And then whenever they bring a new model into the market, we do have priority ordering with limited stock and so on. So this was a new brand created about 2 years ago, and then they've been creating what is a physical, very traditional product built on the tokenization models or on the new Web3 ethos. And that is just an example. But Arturo, tell us a little bit, what do you expect? What are your goals from when you talk about tokenizing an entertainment festival and building a global network out of this? What would be your brief? What would be your goals that you're trying to achieve?
Okay, so the idea is how to understand that using tokens is going to be better than doing Web2 traditional strategies, right? So if we start with marketing, and we all believe in having a love brand. We want our consumers and users and visitors seeing our brand as a love brand, and we've managed to do that after many years with our festivals. People thought about our brand as their own brand, right? And also, we want them to be telling us what they want. We want to be consumer-centric, and we want to create content for our festivals that really attract the people, because otherwise they won't come back. And finally, we realize that the type of marketing that works better is the member get member. When you get a happy customer telling other people to come, right? So we've been experiencing this in a very nice way without us doing anything, but also we've been trying to do it and promote it using Web2 traditional marketing strategies. And we realize that tokens can be a very useful tool for that. So we want to understand how we can implement that and why it's going to be better than the traditional Web2 strategies.
Yeah, so by offering a token, you are basically immediately connected to the decentralized finance aspect, so all the innovations that are happening there. Plus, the token is a way for you to also technically be able to provide ways of ownership, creating a better connection with your audience. You can actually ask them to use that token, which is then guaranteed to be for one of your festival visitors or somebody endorsing it, to cast a vote on-chain, which is 100% guarantee that it comes from your audience and your customers. So I think those two come to mind. Then you are also capable, depending on how you connect your business model to the token, to actually incentivize economically by providing tokens for people that have a certain level of engagement or perform certain activities or that refer people to your festivals, which are all being unlocked by the decentralized infrastructure in finance. That's basically you get that as a gift by introducing a token.
Okay.
So we're talking here about benefits for users. We're talking about governance, about the ability to participate and to influence the future to have your voice heard about the future of the event. And we're also talking about privacy when we're talking about users as a token. But we're tokenizing the user base. I understand that there is a different level of privacy compared to the traditional way of gathering data. Is this something that concerns you? How do you solve this issue around privacy in terms of, okay, I have my users, they'll have tokens that will give them benefits, but I may not know directly those users. How do you feel about this?
Well, I think, anyways, it's becoming more and more difficult to go through that with the standard actual social network, for instance, because privacy is getting more and more important, right? And I think this option is much better because our visitors don't see themselves as someone that is going to be targeted to for advertising purposes, for instance. So it's a better way to engage with them. And we as a company, we don't really need their data because we are going to be knowing them through the things they do rather than through what they are. And also, and we go to the second part of the plan, is to connect them with the other stakeholders who are the B2B partners, the brands. Our business model is to connect our visitors and gamers and players with other companies that want to interact with them, such as sponsors, right? So again, as you know, it's very difficult now to let them interact with them because of privacy. But if we can create a token that is co-owned or maybe operated between those two stakeholders, that in which way, I don't know, but it gives more options for creating together between the gamers and the brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a good example for this, I think, exact use case, which is the Brave browser. They have this attention token where they reward you within your browser, watching like an advertisement, being exposed to basically the B2B aspect of their business. And by doing that, they get a token as a reward, and that token is actually capturing value where some parts of the revenue from those advertisers is streaming into that token. So you have a very direct connection then between those two parties.
So the revenue is shared by the brand or the partner, their user, and the platform, right?
So in essence, there is an ecosystem here, and when we talk about value creation and fair distribution, we're talking about providing benefits to everyone who is involved in the entire ecosystem. So the users, the gamers, for attending the event, for then participating on the online community initiatives, but also the content creators who may want to come and then launch their product, their game, their new creations within other platforms there as part of the ecosystem, and brands and enterprise partners that traditionally they invest as part of a sponsorship. Sometimes they provide the benefit in kind, like providing the computers, the screens, all of this. So now with this tokenized business model, we can reward everyone along the ecosystem for the effort and the investment that they're making into growing this brand together. But how do these brands can prepare themselves for actually being able to participate in a tokenized model?
It's very important to put priorities in what you want to address and solve. Because you can reward everything with a token in different ways. You can focus it on the more reward side, like monetization, but it could also be more focused on access and priorities and rights. So it's good to understand what it is that you primarily want to offer and then solve, and what kind of token or incentives and even regulations around that these days you need to address.
Because the one of the issues that as talking at the end of the day is an asset that they needs to be accounted for within an organization, and that means bringing compliance on board, bringing the legal team, bringing finance. So how do we help these companies understand that they need to get their house in order, so that then the marketing and the brand teams can benefit from these optional benefits that these ecosystems can provide?
Yeah, it's not different than running a traditional business. It's just that you now are connected to the decentralized finance and the regulations. So it's the same things. You need to put the same things in order. You have the same responsibilities towards your customers and suppliers and your partners, but in a different industry with different risks and compliances.
How do you find, Arturo, the conversation so far with the B2B partners? Do you think that they're ready? Do they need a lot more of onboarding and educational about the adopting these systems? What are you gathering from your conversation so far?
Well, they're definitely interested. They really need to understand how and when. And I think it's helpful to use an analogy with the previous evolution of Web 1 into Web 2, when we all remember that we started telling the companies that they have to go to social media, and they had to start talking to the consumers and also letting the consumers talk back. At that point, that was really difficult for most brands, and it was very difficult to make them understand that either you do it or you do it because otherwise you're going to be left, right? So my question is, because that's what they tell me, are we in the same situation? Do you guys think that companies and brands have to decentralize sooner or later, but they have to? And also, and I know it's not the same thing, but it goes together. They have to share ownership with the consumers?
Yeah, so in a sense, decentralization is a value proposition added to what you're doing. It can be to your business. And what's happening is that because the whole decentralized world is very open, the innovation happening there, the interconnectivity to, if you launch a token now, that token can be used already within an ecosystem that is so incredibly big with all kinds of utilities and tools that at some point there will be solutions there that users want to use that they cannot do because you do things in a centralized way. Yeah. And yeah.
And the other question is, where do I go? Because going back to the same analogy, maybe you create this whole, remember the companies creating their own networks, right? Their own social networks. And then they had to just throw it away and go to Facebook, for instance, right? So here, it's very difficult to understand which one is going to be the technical way. And
this is actually one of, it refers to one of the questions from the audience as well, is that you're thinking of creating your own token or becoming part of a token that it already exists and it already has a demand and a circulation flow? What do you recommend on this type of scenarios?
It's really good to assess what's out there. I think we already have seen the shift on the blockchain level, where at the beginning everybody thought we need to create a blockchain. Now that we have these general purpose and specialized blockchains with different kinds of functionality in there, you see that it's no longer needed to build your own blockchain, but to launch a token on it. And I believe one of the biggest innovations we're going to see in the token economy, but that require a lot of organization and education, is these industry tokens or industry economies, where it's no longer silos for businesses, but actually gaming connected. And I spoke with one of the founders of a blockchain called Chili's. They have a token, you probably know them, yeah. They have a blockchain specifically for a sports audience. And as long as that token and the vision and the functionality they want to offer with it matches with what you want to use it for, then it's then you don't have to take the responsibility completely of setting up a token and managing your own economy. And it's not even setting up a token that's complex these days. It's the responsibility to manage that token economy and think about liquidity and value distribution. Yeah.
This actually refers back to another question from one of the non-believers in the audience who was asking, okay, can you give us an example of a successful launch of a token that hasn't gone to zero? I know that there are many, but I think here also the key question is, how do we make sure that we can launch a sustainable economic model behind a token? And that's one of the drives, and that's one of the concerns, that people do not have that perception of a speculation on anything that is token related.
Yeah, I really like that question. It's also definitely the most challenging one, difficult one. So when you launch a token, you are talking about a lot of the supply side of an economy, whereas on the other side you have your business, which is either your revenue model or the thing that generates value. And I think in the short term, much like the stock market, if you don't design it well, then you're gonna get volatility, and you're gonna get poorly designed tokens that cannot capture and sustain value. Because in the end, what you want to create is a token that can capture enough value from your business model without diluting in the market. So to imagine this, basic math, divide the economical value that you create by the total number of tokens that are going to address that economy. And you could imagine that as being the long-term token price. And I think in the long term, the longer we wait and the longer a token will be in circulation and be used for those purposes, the more likely it is it will attain that value at the end.
I hope that was a convincing answer. It was, to me, someone else in the audience is asking Arturo about, to give an example, where tokenization is used, as has been used on a B2B model. In fact, one of the inspirations for you thinking about tokenizing your festival came from Denver and the work that they had done in progressively decentralizing their brand. What can you tell the audience about, okay, what sort of things you've seen in the market that inspired you to go this way?
Well, Denver inspired us for the governance aspect of this, because it's a huge festival that is, I wouldn't say it's 100% governed, but mostly by the community. And we know, because we've been seeing it in our festival for many years, that when you get your visitors and your fans engaged, that's when everything works better, obviously, right? So they are using blockchain and a token to make that even more efficient, and using data to track it, because otherwise you have to do it in very crazy ways, and you have to guess a lot, and a lot of mistakes happen. So that's what we learned from Denver. But again, talking to B2B partners, such as one of our sponsors, they're always looking for ways to connect with their consumer audience in a way that is meaningful for the users as well. It's not just coming to the festival and placing the logo somewhere. That doesn't work, right? So we do a lot of promotions. We connect things and rewards that happen in our festival and our competitions to prices, or some, as you said, some advantages or privileges from the B2B partners. And we are starting using tokens for that, because it's a better way to do it, it's more safe, it cannot be replaced. So there's a lot of advantages there.
Okay, that's interesting. And we're still facing a lot of the skepticism that comes from things like the high energy consumption from the blockchain. Someone from the audience is referring that we still see plenty of posts on LinkedIn and other platforms that refer to this issue, which of course would undermine the overall benefits of implementing a tokenized loyalty system. How can you reassure the audience that the way that the blockchain is going, is becoming more and more energy efficient, and how is that related to the sort of tokenization models that you define for your clients?
Yeah, so overall, everything has a cost. So also your bank account and the bank you're with will also incur costs and have an impact on the environment for the kind of infrastructure that they run just to administrate value. So not expecting that from a decentralized solution would be a bit strange. Then there are really initiatives and new blockchains that really focus on being set up in a green way. We have seen live, like at hand, that Ethereum has moved from a so-called proof of work blockchain towards proof of stake, which has gigantically decreased their offset and their energy consumption. So we can already see a trend that we see this as important. We see blockchains taking necessary steps to become more energy efficient. And I think we're going to see more of that.
I'm going to give a practical example, because I'm not really technical on that side, but going back to marketing, when we have our VIP visitors to our festival, and I don't want to compare a festival to Tomorrowland, but they do something like that much better than us, of course. But we sell VIP passes, and we send them to the houses of our visitors, and it's like a box with a cap and many other things. So we spend quite a lot in that, and we use physical materials, and that's probably worse for the ecosystem than an NFT, for instance. And we think that those users will rather get a good NFT than the other box. It's just a silly example. It's a practical example that we are seeing that we might save costs in many other physical things if we go to tokens.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, blockchain is a permissionless system, so every single credit card transaction, it has a middleman cost that is unsurmountable compared to the blockchain use. Any type of exchange in digital assets, in loyalty cards, and all of that, it does have a much greater energy impact and carbon foot impact that compared to any blockchain transaction. But it is also true that something had to be done, and a lot of work has been done in this area. We've also now have the layer 2 that is highly more efficient as well. We have plenty more questions, but we don't have the time. But we can use the break to continue. Just one final one that, which summarizes your thoughts. So, what precise set of problems are tokens solving for businesses beyond engagement? If you could give your final thoughts about, okay, what would be the 2 or 3 benefits? I think we've touched on that already, but what, as your summary, the 3 key benefits for businesses, and the same in your particular case, what would you tell the audience?
So what I think, and again, using the analogy of Web 2, Web 1, Web 2, the big evolution was going from the user being a spectator to the user being a creator. And it was created a user generating content, right? And we saw that with Twitch and YouTube and all that, and that changed the whole gaming ecosystem. And after the gaming, they changed a lot of ecosystems as well. So now we are seeing the same thing. From my perspective, gaming is always a bit more advanced because it's very technical and very advanced. And we see that decentralization and sharing of ownership is going to change things again, not only in gaming, but first in gaming.
Absolutely. And for you, final thoughts?
Well, by adopting a token model or introducing a token, you're really aligning the values of your business with that the blockchain offers. And that's transparency, efficiency, and new novel ways of ownership, which is good for every stakeholder involved in your business.
Absolutely. And I think that once we keep it to these simple terms is where other Web 2 professionals will understand more and more the value without getting lost on the technical jargon and a lot of the bad press that we come from the speculative market and so on, which happen in all sorts of industries. So thank you so much for all your questions. I hope you find this valuable. We're going to have now a break where you can continue the conversations with them. There's so many questions to be answered about tokenized models that definitely is worthwhile the conversation. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.